I messed up tonight. I lost another fight. I still mess up, but I'll just start again. I keep falling down. I keep on hitting the ground. I always get enough to see what's next. Birds don't just fly, they fall down and get up. Nobody learns without getting it wrong. I won't give up, no I won't give in till I reach the end and then I'll start again. No I won't leave, I wanna try everything, I wanna try even though I could fail.
Hello once again, citizens of the internet, and welcome back to Zootopia Minute, the minute-by-minute podcast where we review, analyze, and scrutinize everyone's favorite hit film of 2016, Zootopia. I'm your host, Simul, here as always with my co-host,
Choco, and I'm still stuck with the name Choco. I'm going to have to live with it. But hey,
What's wrong with that?
It's funny because I'm not really a chocolate person. I'm more of a vanilla person. And
This is groundbreaking. I
I
feel
know.
lied to.
I mean, the first few cons, everyone's just been going up to my booth and giving me chocolate. But now they know I like fruity
it to
stuff
me.
with vanilla. Maybe in the future. Anyways, guess what? I guess this has happened within the last time we've recorded, but I survived my first hurricane here in Florida.
That's right. I do want to hear about that, but we should probably
Yes.
get to the minute first.
All right.
All right, so this is minute 58 in our film, so if you're following along, that's going to be timestamp 5800 to 5859. Man, we're almost through to the whole 1 hour, just got a few left to go. And this minute begins where the last one left off. Nick and Judy have just departed on a gondola in the Rainforest District up and away from where Chief Bogo and the rest of the police department was down on the platform. They're riding away, and Nick begins to give us a story about his childhood, and we get a really nice flashback into young Nick trying to join up with a sort of a Boy Scout-esque organization. And the place where the minute ends, rather appropriately, I think, right when there's a snap of the fingers and the room that they're in downstairs where we see young Nick with this pack of kids, the room goes black right at the end of our minute. I really like the timing there.
It is a very good timing, and I think actually it's more appropriately comparable to the Cub Scouts because they're called a pack. Boy Scouts are called troops. So there we go.
That's true. Yeah, I was a Cub Scout, actually.
Yeah.
Man, you're right. It's like literal Cub Scouts because it's
they
animals.
are actual Cubs. Yeah. So yes, this was a fun minute. In this moment we see our first inklings of Judy being gay for Nick. So it's interesting.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, we are almost at the hour mark for this movie, and can you believe that we have went through 2 elections to get to this point?
Well, you know, bureaucracy takes time.
Yeah. All right. So this was a really, really fun minute. I enjoyed it to an extent. I have some reservations about it after the preceding minute, but we'll talk about it. But first off, we have the gondola system, which we're going to probably talk about later because Disney World has announced that they're building a gondola system. But we get to see Judy and Nick kind of interacting. Judy's kind of silent, and she gives this look towards Nick, or at this look that she's like, oh, she's happy. Nick stood up for him. Is she having feelings for him? Oh
my gosh, they're standing next to each other. I ship
Oh my
it.
god, that is so gay.
So hard.
I know, isn't that so gay?
Extremely. Well, yes,
Right.
you're right. Judy does give a thank you to Nick, because again, Nick kind of saved her back there with Bogo, who was about to fire her, essentially, demanding her badge, and Nick kind of swept her out of that situation, literally like up and away on this gondola. And so Judy says thank you, and Nick gives this really interesting remark, never let them see that they get to you.
Yes, and that's a line that did stand out to me. It's a very, very powerful line, and you know, it's a good philosophy because I've been in positions where I've felt that way before.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if someone's bullying you or, you know, doing whatever, a lot of the time it's their whole goal is to see you react. So withholding the reaction they want can be the best way to set them in their place.
Yeah, Shia LaBeouf, don't put another flag up. What are you, moron?
Oh my gosh.
He started on a Disney Channel show, so it ties back to Disney. Whatever.
You're right. So Nick says, never let them see that they get to you, which I feel like I've heard that quote, almost that exact wording, but something similar in many other places. I don't know where it originated from. It's probably one of those quotes, those sayings that just goes back into time immemorial. So,
ooh, fancy.
Anyway, Judy then responds, so things do get to you. Because, again, Nick has been kind of an emotional wall, or a sarcastic wall. He's been a sarcastic wall, but now we're maybe getting to see, oh, what's he fronting for? Maybe we're breaking down this facade and seeing more into the inner workings of Nick. So Nick responds, oh no, not anymore, but I was small and emotionally unbalanced like you once. Which Judy kind of sarcastically rolls her eyes and goes, har har.
That could be taken as a sexist comment. In some contexts.
Or just a rabbitist, speciesist comment.
A rabbit, yes. All
something like that. And so Nick goes off in this story, but like before we really get into the depths of this story, just some interesting things about the scene going up with the gondolas here. It's neat. You can sort of see the structure of the gondola, the cable there above, and the camera sort of slowly rotates around the gondola that they're in. And what's interesting is it doesn't really look like they're moving at all almost until they pass a support pillar. And then you realize, wow, they really are rotating. Like that thing just shoots way past and down. They're going pretty fast.
You could see the wind kind of blowing past Nick's shirt, and you could see it kind of ruffling within the wind, so it must be going really fast if it could cause
Have you
that
ever
effect.
been on that kind of gondola before?
I have not. I've been on ski lifts, which is probably
Yeah,
the closest
same.
approximation. And I guess we'll see what happens with Disney, because the new Disney gondola system will be going over the different resorts, and it'll be going over like the interstates and stuff. So
This is in Orlando then?
Orlando, yes.
Yeah,
4 hours
okay.
away from me now.
That's right. Now you get to go even more often.
Yeah.
I've been to Disneyland twice in my life ever, and that's it. Never been to Disney World. I've been in ski lifts, and ski lifts, honestly, are kind of terrifying when you really think about what's going on, because you just get there, the thing's constantly in motion. The dude tells you, all right, go up, put your butt out so you can get ready to sit down, and it's just a chair that comes and picks you up, and there's no front to it. There's nothing keeping you in the chair. It's just you dangling.
It's so scary they made an entire scary movie about it.
That's right. What was
called
that movie
Frozen.
called?
It's called Frozen.
That's right. Yes.
I know, because
it all
my
ties
friend
back to Disney.
Yeah, because my friend, Your Movie Sucks, who is actually a furry. I met him at Midwest Fur Fest last year, and he's a furry, not me, but he's a furry. But yeah, he reviewed that movie because as a joke, because I think he reviewed the original Frozen movie, and then now he reviews.
Can I clarify something with you?
Sure.
Is he a furry?
I think he is a furry.
Oh, okay. Just wanted to be sure about that. I have been in those chair lifts at ski resorts, and I have been in gondolas similar to the one in the movie here, except they usually have windows on them.
Yeah, you live in the Northwest. Doesn't the Northwest have a bunch of gondola systems like that?
I don't know. If they do, I'm missing out.
I'm sure Vancouver and Portland does.
I'm sure. I don't think we really have any gondolas in the city. I think there's some like sightseeing ones some places in the mountains, but I don't think I've been to them.
Okay.
But what's interesting is sometimes the gondolas used on those are one and the same as the gondolas they attach to Ferris wheels. So the Seattle Great Wheel downtown, it's a Ferris wheel that goes out over Elliott Bay, and it has these little climate-controlled sealed capsules that you sit in that are basically the same type of gondola that you'd have there. I've been to Spokane, Washington, and they have a gondola, an enclosed gondola that goes out over the Spokane waterfalls, which is pretty fun.
So yeah, back to the scene. We can see it going really, really fast because you can see Nick's fur and shirt kind of ruffling, which is actually really well animated.
Everything in this movie is well animated.
Yeah. Well, and
gotten
also,
that far.
I guess we should also mention Nick made a little cameo in the new Ralph Breaks the Internet trailer too.
Did he really? Ooh,
Yeah,
I
he
didn't
did.
see it. That's cool.
And of course,
Tell me about that later.
It should be Ralph Wrecks the Internet, but I'm not complaining. Whatever.
Right. Well, anyways, Nick does continue with this story here. He says, no, it's true. I think I was 8 or maybe 9, and all I wanted to do was join the Junior Ranger Scouts. So this is their Cub Scout equivalent.
Yes.
And then we get a flashback. The scene slowly fades, and we get to see a really cute young Nick standing with his mom in front of a mirror in a little scout uniform.
So this is the part where, in one case, I would enjoy, in another case, I know, as much as I love this movie, I could start rolling my eyes a bit, because film is a very, very short medium to try to get a message across and to get emotional attachment. It can't get as much emotional attachment as much as like a visual novel or a television
So you
show
think
could.
this scene wasn't long enough? It didn't do enough to establish Nick?
I think no. Yeah. So to establish emotional moments, most short mediums like film, they really have to rush the tear jerking or sad stuff. So it's normally very, very formulaic, very, very cheesy. And And what's the most formulaic, cheesy thing you do is do a cute flashback where you show the main protagonist or main character as a cute little kid. And
so you're saying it's like the easy way out?
Yes, because if you guys like, we keep on talking about the previous concepts for Zootopia. Nick was originally the main character, and in the previous incarnations, including the spy movie or the dystopian Predator movie, they all went through Nick's backstory very, very detailedly. They built his character up. Well, in those cases, now Judy is the character that they had to put the stuff in. In this case, knowing all of the previous incarnations of Nick, he's like Doctor. But this incarnation of Nick, they couldn't go through all the previous backstories they built up, so seems like they kind of really rushed it, and I don't think I connected with Nick as much. I think I as someone who who reviews media in my mind too fast, I'm just like, oh, they're forcing it on us.
I'm just too smart for this movie.
No, it's not that smart. It's just like I've seen enough movies that I know when a film is trying to force something on me, and my mind normally likes to fight against forced sentimentality.
Okay, fair enough, I suppose. Well, I mean, I definitely enjoyed it. We get to see a closer look kind of at Nick's backstory, some justification for why he is like he is, how he got to where he is now. And also, he's just extremely cute.
Yes, that's the easiest way to force something down you. You make the character look like cute and adorable. It's chibi.
But hey, I do appreciate it a lot, though. I'm looking at the scene now. He's in the mirror. He's got his little scarf on there. It's funny because the little neckerchief he's wearing, the way they drew this character, the way they designed this character, his neck is like as thick as his shoulders are broad. So it's almost like it just goes all the way around his shoulders.
Yeah, it looks almost like a cape.
Yeah, like a cape or something. Exactly. Well, So what Nick is saying during this scene here, he's basically telling the story. He says that his mom scraped together enough money to buy me a brand new uniform because, by God, I was going to fit in, even if I was the only predator in the troop, the only fox. And it's this really cute scene showing him here with his mom getting his uniform on and then sort of tickling him, and he's like posing in the mirror.
And that's just, count two. That's count two for forced sentimentality. Bring up your mother, and then bring up how poor she is, so she has to scrape together money to get you something you really wanted.
Oh, and do you think she's a single mom? We don't see his dad in the scene.
Yeah, if it's a single mom, that's count three.
We're just gonna write in Nick the most tragic childhood we can right now.
That's what it sounds like they're doing right now. In the short time they have to build up Nick's backstory, that's what they're doing. And it's not a fault against the movie. I love this movie, but
we're also seeing the trope of you don't get to see the parent's face. Their head is cut off by the top of the frame here.
What was it? Charlie Brown, Muppet Babies, Rugrats, or I don't know. No, Rugrats.
The pilot for Fairly Odd Parents had his mom and dad's heads cut off at the top as well.
Yeah, I was really wanting to see what the mother looked like, but I guess we don't see it. We see the dad in the concept art, but not the mom. But
ooh, really? We also know it's in the past because there's a rotary telephone. And then, Choco, I want to know if you noticed the same thing I did.
All right.
What is special about that? Are you looking at the scene here where he's in front of the mirror?
Let me go back, and yes, I am. Oh, the wallpaper!
The wallpaper is Nick's shirt in the future.
I just realized that because I draw Nick so many times, and I actually own that exact shirt. And yes, I see it.
The wallpaper is Nick's shirt. I love that. So there's two possibilities.
Okay.
It's either that he's subconsciously retained this wallpaper in his head, and so therefore, like, that's the shirt he's also wearing, and it's just some sort of deep Freudian thing or whatever that's making him wear this same shirt. Or the wallpaper there is provided in Nick's memory as a subconscious generic wallpaper, but subconsciously it's his shirt because that's a pattern he's familiar with. Because I was thinking about this too. When you have a scene where a character starts telling a story and then it transitions into a flashback and we don't hear their actual narration, but we just see the things take place on the screen. What does that mean? Are they really telling the story to the person listening, or do they just suddenly go quiet and this person's like, well, then what happened? So this is just a mental image that he's sending directly into Judy's mind, and Judy knows Nick's shirt, and so maybe it's Judy's subconscious is using the shirt texture file for Nick's wallpaper here to fill in the gaps here. That's like some deep consciousness research right here.
That is a good possibility.
I'm sure that's exactly what the writers intended.
I mean, as someone who studies psychology at Johns Hopkins University, that's the stuff we kind of play around with when we talk about things. That's why flashbacks and most most media, you see it's kind of, and I think they kind of portray it here, third count because they're forcing it. It's the kind of blurred, rosy
the Dutch angle
imagery.
thing?
Yeah, Dutch angle is kind of slightly blurred. It kind of has this dreamlike effect. And in these dreamlike situations, yeah, they will probably mix in psychological tropes and elements like, hey, the shirt design is the wallpaper.
Right. Yeah, pretty cool. Anyways, I suppose we'll keep going and see what happens next here. So he's talking about his mom getting his uniform together, and then it transitions to him rushing into what must be a rec center or a school building or something.
It looks like a church based on the sign on the outside.
Yeah.
That's a very church-like sign.
I do have to say, I would believe that because the basement that he goes into looks like every church basement I've ever been in. It has that wood paneling on the wall that goes ceiling to floor, just wooden boards. The dull gray-brown color.
Yeah, I wouldn't know because I'm a dirty heathen.
That's
whatever.
Because you're a heathen, Choco.
I am. I'm a very far Eastern Orthodox heathen.
Yes.
AKA Taoism. Anyway, so we do see that the building outside, it's number 2389. The sign on the outside says Zootopia Junior Rangers, Troop 914. And we see looks like a very large fire hydrant, though I guess it's perspective, but
yeah.
The fire hydrant is like almost double Nick's size based on this perspective we have. And on the sign, if we're going on the theory that it's a church, it looks like the Calvert Cross, which is a symbol of Maryland, or it looks like a very, very decorated Russian eagle. It's very hard to see.
What are you looking at?
The sign on the outside of this building that has the word Zootopia Junior Rangers on it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I see what you're talking about. Yeah.
It's very, very fancy. It looks almost like a Celtic knot.
Yep. So we've also got all this awesome scout decor in the room, the acorn plaques with like metal things embossed onto it, apparently with kids' names is what I'd assume.
Yeah.
I like their scout uniforms. It's all very kitschy.
They are very, very, yeah. So you said you were in Cub Scouts, right?
I was a Cub Scout, yeah.
And I was Boy Scouts and JROTC. So that's the one thing I like looking at. I like looking at different uniforms of different scouting type organizations. Their uniforms are actually the same colors as the Venture Scouts, which also includes the red neckerchiefs. And in fact, I think that's the uniform for the female wing of the Boy Scouts now that girls are able to join Boy Scouts. That's the uniform I think they wear. I see, like, looking at the patches, I like so in the back you can see two flags. So this is me as a flag person.
I was gonna drill you on the flags because you designed a Zootopia flag.
Yes.
Right.
So I designed the flag that I saw in the mayor's office, and I'm looking at these two flags right now, and it looks like it's the same colors as the Nigerian flag.
So they're in Nigeria. Headcanon accepted. Wow. All right.
I could well, that's where a lot of these safari type animals are. But
Yeah,
I could potentially also say that this is it's not the city flag of Zootopia, but it could potentially be maybe a borough flag because the boroughs of New York have their own separate flags. Or it could potentially be the troop flag because if you know from Boy Scouts and Cub Scouts, each troop has their own flag as well.
It's the Everfree Northwest flag.
Yeah. Funny. Something's in the works.
Yes, but anyway, this does look like every church basement I've ever seen, and anyone who's been in a church basement will know what I'm talking about if they're looking at this.
Yeah.
All these scout animals down here are super cute. There's like a zebra, a hippo.
I want to say the zebra is super cute because I'm trying to design a zebra character for myself, and I just see the zebra, but I look all the way on the other end, and wait, it's a horse, and they use nearly the exact same model.
It's young Bojack.
It's Bojack. That makes it even sadder. Oh, it's Bojack and his alternate reality self, Bobo, the manically depressed zebra.
Right, exactly.
I like in the middle, there's the woodchuck. And you could tell he's the leader of the group because based on all the Looney Tunes shorts I watched, the short person is always the leader.
That is true, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, anyway, so Nick continues here with this story, and what's happening is they're about to give him an initiation into the troop, which I think is interesting because there are no adults present, and that would not fly for the Boy Scouts. That's not how that works.
Yeah, really. Maybe for the Boy Scouts, but definitely not the Cub Scouts or Webelos. That's kind of fishy because what could happen? You know, there could be hazing going on. Kids are very, very mean, and
I know kids are terrible.
So another thing I want to point out in the back is there's two signs that says Wilderness Warriors, which would also alternatively be a good name for, I guess, this group, but they're called Junior Ranger Scouts. But Wilderness Warriors seems to be like a different maybe subgroup or something. And then the other sign says Hoof Heroes. I'm assuming only the zebra and the horse could join the Hoof Heroes.
Oh. And what about, is there a difference between the split-hooved animals and the solid-hooved animals?
Oh.
So... I don't know about that. Well, anyways, adult Nick has some narration over top of this saying, I was going to be part of a pack. He's very excited about this. Yeah. And the woodchuck, who's clearly the leader kid here, says, okay, Nick, ready for initiation. And young Nick says, yeah, pretty much born ready. And I don't know who that voice actor is, voice actress. I'm sure it's a woman, but I recognize that voice from somewhere, probably several places, but I cannot recall who it is or who else it was. But I know I've heard that specific voice before.
I just want to say that young Nick walking down the stairs saying I was born ready is just, he's so adorable looking.
Yeah, pretty much born ready.
I want a plushie. I want a plushie of this Nick. It's very adorable. In fact, I think I actually have a fantasy pin of young Wilderness Scout Nick.
Nice. Well, this minute ends on adult Nick in his narration saying, I was so proud. And then there's a snap of the fingers and the lights go off.
And we cut to black. Dun,
yes.
dun, dun.
Suddenly it's very dark. All the lights in the room went out, and that's where the minute ends, which I love. Good timing. So we'll have to see what will happen of young Nick in this flashback in the next minute.
Oh, speaking of young Nick, the voice actress is Catherine Susi, who was in Captain Planet. She was in Lola Bunny in Space Jam.
Lola
Fifi
Bunny
in Tiny Toons. She was Dexter's mom in Dexter's Laboratory. Maddie Phantom in Danny Phantom. And she was also Phil, Lil, and Miss DeVille in Rugrats.
Yes, I knew it was her. So she's also Princess Sally in the Saturday morning Sonic cartoon from the 90s.
Interesting.
Oh my gosh. I thought I recognized it. That's right. That's such a distinct voice. I should have known that right off the beginning. Oh well. Anyway, that's it for the minute. But there's a few cool things I'm sure we can talk about here before we wrap up.
Well, I'll say we end on the perfect cliffhanger where everything cuts to black, and that reminds me of a few weeks ago when I was surviving my first hurricane, and all of a sudden everything just went black.
Ooh.
So if you guys don't know, I just moved to Tallahassee about a month ago, and a few weeks ago, Hurricane Michael went straight through Tallahassee, and we were right against the eye of the wall. It was a very, very interesting situation. Hurricane Michael was a Cat 4 hurricane, very, very close to Cat 5. I think it was just 2 miles under a Cat 5.
That's my favorite network cable. Keep going. Lame joke.
Okay. So we were kind of preparing for it. As we said in the last episode, I was actually planning a Disney World trip to begin with anyways. And the hurricane came in, kind of knocked out power. And I think about half a day in this power outage where we were surviving on canned foods, we were hoping that the stuff in our fridge would not defrost, running on, rechargeable batteries for our cell phones and everything. We were like, you know what? Why don't we just drive to Orlando now and extend our Disney World trip? So the next morning we actually just packed up, we left, and we went to Disney World. But yeah, that was my first hurricane. I'm not sure if you guys follow me on my personal Twitter, but I posted a flood map warning, and our house was one of the first houses that was
right
just outside the FEMA. Yeah,
I remember seeing that. Yeah, crazy.
There was a river outside. Like there was nothing in the back of my house, and the next morning there was like literally a lake outside my house.
Hey, dude, waterfront property.
Down. Yeah.
Inflates the value of the home.
Well, there might be alligators around, but there was a bunch of fallen trees every year where it was really, really crazy. But hey, we got to go to Disney World early, and guess what? I got to meet Nick Wilde there again, so that was pretty fun. He was very, very adorable. He was on the Shake It Move It parade, which is actually ending coming December. So if you guys want to see Nick, the only chance for you to see Nick at Walt Disney World is during the Shake It Move It parade, which ends at the beginning of December. So this is the last chance you had to see it. He came off his flow. I was wearing my Nick outfit again. He kind of danced with me. I actually gave him one of my Nick pins, one of the pins I designed, with a lanyard, and he really, really liked it. I got some video of him like holding it up, and he went to show the other cast members, and she wanted to hold it for him, but he was like, no.
Wow.
He shook his head. He wrapped it around his paw and was dancing with it the entire time. And then when he noticed I was trying to take a selfie with him based on the float, he actually walked off the float and came up close to me and got a selfie with me. So it was very, very adorable.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Such a nice guy. It must be difficult, though, for him, and very tiring and very expensive to fly back and forth forth between California and Florida all the time.
Yeah, well, we might be talking to one of them soon, and we'll ask him how he does it. But yeah, so that was a very, very interesting situation. And guess what? Tying in with the episode or the minute we just watched, as I was staying there, we were staying at one of the on-site hotels, Pop Century. And Pop Century was under construction because that is one of the sites where they're putting the gondola systems. So outside the Pop Century, you could see they were building a tram outside, and they're starting the first parts of the construction on the Disney gondola system, which connects Pop Century, Art of Animation, and some other resorts to Hollywood Studios and Epcot, I believe. So yes, we will actually see a gondola system, much like in this movie, happening at Disney
Build the
World
rest of
pretty soon.
Zootopia while you're at it, Disney.
Yes,
Come on.
yeah, come on, because we were there. We went to Animal Kingdom and we saw the Pandora stuff. I'm like, this is not Zootopia. What's with these blue Smurfs everywhere? Come on.
Yeah, geez. Well, that's pretty neat. Did have a hurricane, but you get a Disney trip out of it. That's always good.
So expensive Disney trip, but hey, it's fun. I'm in state now. I could afford the in-state annual pass, so might as well make a fun little trip out of it.
Yeah, well, that's pretty cool. Well, one other thing I wanted to mention here. We are sorry that we missed you guys on Halloween. Do hope you had a very spooky and safe evening Halloween. For me, it was kind of laid back, didn't really do much, just hung out with some friends, had a good time. But there is another very important holiday coming up, even though it is not recognized as a federal holiday and should be. Election Day.
Oh.
That's right. It's the midterms. Everybody, please go out and vote. For real, though. It's very important. If you're eligible to vote, you should take that opportunity. Because there's a lot of people in the world that don't have the opportunity to participate in a democracy like we have here in the United States. So, use it. Flex that right.
God bless America. Or if you're secular, the grand unnamed creator who started the universe, bless America.
The monad. Monad bless America.
I moved to Florida, and I had my my in-state voting changed because Florida's a swing state. So finally, I could live in the state where my vote counts.
You're right. Where you can actually make part of a difference in how the state goes in the Electoral College.
What is strange was I also got an absentee ballot for both California and Texas, and this year Texas is very, very close to swinging blue. So actually, that's another state where I could actually make a big impact in. California is a solid blue state, so can't really change that.
Texas is really closely watched Senate race between Ted Cruz and O'Rourke. So
a Canadian. No more Canadians in the Senate. Yeah, he was born in Alberta.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Kind of strange.
I did not know that.
To a Cuban father.
So they're both Cuban.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
But he's a Cuban Canadian, which is why I was always confused when he tried to run.
Honestly, he's not the Zodiac killer, and Ted Cruz is. So is there really any contest?
Speaking of Halloween, did you see Ted Cruz actually post the Zodiac killer?
Yeah, I retweeted that.
That was kind of funny. I like that he actually he's like as H3 would say, he's a living meme now, and he acknowledges the meme. Oh, and actually his name is not even Ted Cruz. His name is Rafael Cruz.
Is that true?
Yeah.
That's
if you look at his Wikipedia page, it's Rafael Edward Cruz.
Well, in any case, guys, do go out and vote if you're eligible to do so. No excuse not to. It's always very important to participate in your civic duties.
Go out and vote. I hope I hope this election turns out well, and I hope you realize your vote counts. Doesn't matter which party you vote for, your vote counts.
Yeah, really important.
Except if you vote Green Party. No one likes the Green Party.
All right. Well, I think that's just about as much time as we have. So I want to thank everyone for listening to the podcast. If you did enjoy Zootopia Minute, please give us a follow on Twitter, subscribe to our YouTube, and be sure to like these videos as well. If you like this stuff, please do show us that kind of support. It's real helpful to give our videos a like and subscribe. Leave a comment if you like. And if you have anything else you want to let us know about, you can send an email to zootopiaminute@gmail.com. We'll be happy to hear anything you would like to tell us. All right, guys, so that's going to be it. Have a good election day.
And go out and vote.
Go vote. Have a good one.